Hey guys, welcome back to M3 Vlogs. My name is Destiny, and I am here for a story time, okay? Now, this is a true, legit story about a toxic relationship that I was in once. While I'm telling you this, I'm just going to be doing my makeup for the day, so that way my brain's not thinking too much about it because it still kind of gives me anxiety, but I'm to a point now to where I'm fine to talk about it. And, I just want those out there, especially like younger people who might watch this, to know that if you're in a toxic relationship, leave. It is not worth it. It is nowhere near worth it to have someone treat you the way that I was treated. So, you know, I've learned my lesson. I am 35 years old now. My husband has his days, but he has never ever treated me like that. And he would never, he spoils me. He gives me whatever I want, whatever I ask for. There's not even a parallel to these two people, my husband and this other. I would call him a rebound, is what I would call him. I wouldn't even call him a boyfriend. I would just call him, he was like a rebound, okay? So I'm going to start with, and forgive me if this vlog is a little long, it's because I am going to do my makeup, and I want to make sure that, you know, it's understood that I want anybody who might be in a relationship like that to find your strength and get out of it, because your life is more important than some guy, or girl for that matter. There's so many others out there that would, kill to be in a relationship with a decent person. And it's just, it's just taking time to find those people. And what I've realized over, my life is that, when a guy is really into himself, he's never really into anybody else. Okay. He's never really into anybody. So I'm going to start here. I've only ever really been in three serious relationships. Okay, three like long-term relationships. My first one was when I was from the time I was 13 until the time I was between 18 and 19. I'm going to say, I was in a relationship with that was my first love, my first everything. Um, and he was a really good guy. But we grew apart as we got older, and we separated on good terms. So it's not as if, it's not as if, he chose to do something else. Sorry, I'm also doing some work while I'm doing this. What did I do with it? Sorry, I'm looking for a folder I had. So he was a really good guy. And like I said, we basically just separated on, we separated on good terms, and we remained friends even throughout, everything that happened. I'm looking for a folder. Give me a second. I apologize. Where did it go? There it is. Okay. Anyways, picking all my crap back up. My desk is a mess. Anyways, after we separated, it was really hard on me because he was someone that I found to be very, very, he was like everything to me, and he helped me through a lot of situations that were really bad in my life. Like I said, we separated on good terms. We were friends. We still remain friends to this day. I'm not going to give his name at all because it's nobody's business. Now, after we had broke up, we, after we had broke up, sorry, I'm trying to work too. I got so much to do. But, let's see. Sorry. After we broke up, I went through a period of I wouldn't necessarily call it self-destruction. I would more or less say I went through a time of adolescent idiocy. That's what I'd call it, because that's what it was. Because I wasn't quite yet, old enough to understand the consequences, I guess. When you're 18, 19, you're invincible. And no matter what you do, you're still invincible. Um, so when I started working, okay, I started working at a restaurant. I was a waitress while I was trying to get my GD because I had some stuff happen to me prior to that led up to me not being able to finish my GED or being able to finish high school. So I ended up dropping out of high school when I turned, I would say 17, 16, 17. I ended up dropping out of high school because I didn't have a choice. Um, and no, it's not because I had a baby. It's because I was pretty much kicked out of my house by one of my parents. I'm not gonna say because again, that's a whole other story. But when I went to go stay with um, my first, I guess you'd call him my high school sweetheart, um, I didn't get to finish school. So when I turned 18, I started working towards finishing school, getting my diploma, getting my GED, doing whatever I had to do. So I would work. I would waitress at a restaurant, and we would do 12-hour shifts on Saturdays and Friday nights and Saturday nights because it was a 24-hour restaurant. So I would work, and one night I met this guy. Okay, I did. I met him. We talked. We kind of hit it off, and we got into, let's just say I was in a very bad place mentally because I just wasn't happy where I was and I was being stupid. And so I I ended up like spending weeks with this guy, like going and staying with him for a couple weeks at a time, and I'd come back and work, and it was just that kind of job. I could pretty much come and go whenever I wanted to. And I always had a job, so it wasn't a big deal. But I would make my money and I would roll for a few weeks or whatever. Mainly a week at a time. Okay, now this guy was kind of odd at first, but I didn't really think too much of it because, I'm an odd person myself. So I'm going to say his name is Jack because I do not know anybody named Jack, and I apologize if your name is Jack. I am not trying to associate you with this person, but I'm not going to say his name because it's privacy reasons, and I'm not going to play with that. So we we hit it off. We were doing really good at first, and we talked. We got to know each other. All this, all that, blah blah blah. And it was at that point that I realized that it was just a rebound from the previous relationship that I was in because there wasn't really any, hardcore feelings there. It was kind of just, I was just with somebody. There wasn't really any reason. I was just with somebody. So it was just a rebound. It wasn't anything really serious. So as I got to know him more, it became clear that he was very, very into himself. So, I didn't think that was a bad thing for somebody to be confident, okay? And it's really not. It's not a bad thing for somebody to be confident in themselves. But this guy was just, your typical egotistical dude, okay? He had a big ego and just didn't know how to take no, I guess. Didn't know the word no. He lived in a house that his mom owned, I guess. And she didn't stay there. She was somewhere else. So we like I said, we spent time together. I hung out with him. I would stay with him for, a few more like a few days at a time. It wasn't really weeks. It was more like a few days at a time. and we would hang out, and we would go out, and we'd go to parties, and we'd go do all that. And that was it was the only time in my life that I've ever really partied. I Before that, I had never really been to parties, and I'm not the party type. So we would hang out, we would go to parties, we would, go do this, go do that, whatever. And it got to the point to where I found out he was selling drugs for a big dealer in the area at that time. He was selling drugs. He was selling marijuana. And I don't mess with that at all. Okay, now I can't say that I didn't do it when I was younger, because I did. But a lot of my experimenting, as far as that goes, was when I was way younger, 14, 15, 16. After that, I didn't do it anymore because, number one, I didn't like it. And number two, I just, you kind of grow out of that phase, and where I had always tried to do things when I was younger, I didn't have to experiment with none of that stuff when I got older. I didn't have to deal with any of it. So I found out that he was selling drugs, and I wasn't happy about it because I don't associate myself with people that do that. I don't like to. I learned my lesson from that not really the hard way, but years before. Years before. Yeah. I was between 18 and 19. So I was still stupid. I was still naive. I was still young. I had no brains, apparently. Um, and I had decided to call him on his crap, okay? There's one night that I went down there, and he was really drunk. Or we got to drinking. And I had a beer. He drank more than I did. And I'm not really a drinking type of person, anymore. Like I said, I did all that crap when I was younger. I wasn't really that worried about drinking. So I did have a beer, but I didn't have anything else. He, however, had stronger alcohol. I can't remember what it was. I just know it was stronger alcohol. I think it was whiskey or something. And I don't drink whiskey because I think it's gross. So I can do clear liquor, but I don't like whiskey. It's disgusting. But we ended up getting in a fight. He ended up getting pissed off at me for whatever reason. And, before that, I had never had any suspicions of him being the abusive type. I kind of thought that maybe he was a little, I knew he was crazy. Okay. I knew he was crazy, but to that point, I didn't think it was, because his mom was a really nice person. His mom was really sweet. So I didn't think that he would turn into being, the ass that he was. He ended up drinking more than me. And then we ended up getting in a fight. Okay. Now, I'm not one that backs down. Now, this story has two parts of it, okay? I'm gonna back up just a little bit before we get to the fight. This dude was always scared of ghosts, okay? Like, terrified, like, would not sleep with his feet hanging off the bed. Wouldn't even sleep on the outside of the bed. Always had to be on the inside because he was afraid something was going to reach up and grab him. It was hilarious, okay? And I would play off that. Anytime he would piss me off, I would play off that big time. And there was a point there where I actually told him that he had a ghost in his house. And that was how I protected myself most of the time. Was like when he was being a jerk and when he was drinking or he was being, destructive. I would tell him there was a ghost in his house and that he was being watched. And like I would freak him out big time. And it's so hilarious now thinking about it. Because, I'm not really that type of person. But I am the type of person that'll watch and I learn. Okay, I watch, I learn, and I keep tabs of every insecurity, every fear, every secret, everything that I find out, I keep logged in my head. And when the time comes, if I have to, I will use it against you because I don't play. Okay, I don't play when it comes to this kind of crap, but it was hilarious. So I told him there was a ghost in his house. And his neighbor was like all weird. She claimed to be a witch and all this crap. And It was funny. He had her bring over holy water to bless his house. I was like, and I even convinced her, holy water is not going to work because he's not a bad ghost. So, I mean, it was such a process. It was so funny. It was just hilarious. So he would go and like when he was being a jerk or whatever, he would get like in these moods where he'd pout like a baby and he would go to bed and leave me, by myself. And just out of spite, I would actually sit there and pretend I was having a conversation with this ghost, okay? And it would freak him the hell out. It was so hilarious. I'd be sitting there cracking up, laughing my butt off while he's sitting there like freaking out. And it was so much damn fun to do that to that person. It was just hilarious. But when we had got in our fights there for towards the end, that's when things got more violent. And I used my ghost as a way to get away, but I also used my smarts to get away. I had seen one of my parents in an abusive relationship before, and even till this day, I am not a fan of seeing some dude put his hands on a female. I am still not a fan of it, and if I have to, I will stand up for a female being hit, especially in front of me, because that is something that, I was taught a man should never put his hands on a woman. Ever. You know, there should never be, and it should be the other way too. No woman should ever put her hands on a man. Not like that. Everybody should keep their damn hands to themselves. So, we ended up, like I said, he was drinking. We ended up getting in a fight, and I ended up with his hands around my neck. Okay? He put his hands around my neck, and he squeezed. And I still have permanent vocal damage. He used to get mad at me because I could sing better than him. Okay, I was real big in chorus and stuff when I was a kid, and I had a voice. I know I did. I would always get compliments on how well I sung, and that was one thing I was really confident in was, that I could sing. I still have permanent damage from that. My voice is still not the same as it was. It's a lot deeper now, and it didn't used to be that way. So I actually used to sound like a girl, whereas now on some days, if it gets really bad, especially if I'm sick, I sound like a mouse. And then other days, it can get really deep. It just depends on how I'm doing. It just depends on if I'm sick or not. And so he would get jealous that I could sing better than him. He would get mad that I could that I basically would outsing him. He would get so upset because he was one of those guys that was really confident in himself. He was really stuck on himself. Well, we ended up fighting, and he ended up walking up on me. Really, like he ended up coming right up to me, and that's one thing I don't like is for somebody to come right up on me. And I mean, he was in my face, so I pushed him off. And then when he came back, I used my foot and I kicked him away from me because I did not like him towering over me. I'm only 5'2", okay? 5'3", 5'2", somewhere's in there. And at that point, I was maybe 110 pounds. Okay, just bring it in here. I was maybe 110 pounds, maybe 115 pounds, if that. So to have a guy that's almost 190 pounds standing over you, 6'2", 190 pounds standing over you, you kind of, your instincts automatically kick in. And mine were kicking in. They were, okay, let's just set these. Can you set them on my bed? And I'll take care of them here in a minute, baby. Thank you. Thank you. Wait for the FedEx man. I got more coming too. Christmas gift. Sorry.
I thought that was the name of the
No, it is that. Was that the mailman?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the FedEx man should be coming too. With more stuff. Sorry, we're getting Christmas presents in right now. I've got stuff coming every day this week, so. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I ended up with this big tall guy standing over me. So I kicked him off of me because I didn't like that he could tower over me. I don't like that, okay? I like feeling in control of a situation, and at that point I didn't feel in control. I felt like I was out of control. Now, I did kick him away from me. I used my foot and I basically shoved him away from me. So, and I was trying to protect myself, really, is what I was trying to do, because I just didn't feel safe at that moment. And he got pissed and he put his hands around my neck. He made sure to dig in to my skin. I had bruises from one side all the way around my neck, all the way to the other side of my neck. I remember that I told him I used a phrase to get him off of me. I told him it wasn't true, but I told him to stop, that I was pregnant. I wasn't, okay? I was not pregnant. I was on birth control. I was careful, okay? But that's how I got him off of me. He's, after being knocked to the ground from being choked and, trying to get my bearings, you could see that he kind of questioned it for a minute, but then he stopped. He left me alone for a few. I started getting my stuff together because I was planning on leaving. I remember him knocking a shelf over and it hitting me in the back while I was trying to get my stuff together so I could leave. I remember him, being just a jerk that night. I mean, there was just so much. He would slam things into the wall. And the bad thing is that his brother and his brother's fiance were sitting right there. And his brother was bigger than him, but his brother didn't do anything to stop him. They just sat there. I mean, they knew what he was doing was wrong, but they just sat there and ignored him. They didn't want no part of it. It's like they were terrified of him. But I wasn't. I was not scared of him. So after he hit me with the shelf, after it hit me in my back, I got up. I used my fist. I used this part of my hand, and I pretty much, jabbed him in the jaw with my hand right here, because I know this is a harder part of my hand. So I went like this to him, and I ended up hitting him in the jaw, and I broke out one of his teeth in the back, and his mouth was bleeding. I didn't feel bad. I didn't even remotely feel bad about it. I didn't care. I wasn't worried about it. No big deal. Not to me. I couldn't leave at that point because I had no way to leave. So I was waiting. I was letting the situation die down, because I was afraid that if I tried to leave, that he would try something else, and I wasn't for sure what he would do. And he didn't want to let me leave that night anyways. So what I did was I let it calm down. I let everything calm down. The next morning I woke up, and I swear it felt like I had been hit by a semi-truck. My neck was so sore and so bruised. I had red, purple, I mean, you name the color, and it was around my neck. And I went to the mirror and I looked at myself. And I knew. I knew before that, but when I saw what that fucker had done to me, I was not staying there. There was no way in hell I was staying there. There was no way in hell I was going to let him put his hands on me again. It wasn't going to happen. And so when I was sitting on the couch, and I remember him getting up, and I told him, I said, how can you look at what you did? How can you look at me, see the bruises on me, and be okay with that? He didn't have an answer. He didn't have an answer at all. So I told him that I was going back to work. Well, I left. I didn't go back. I didn't. I left half of my shit there. I didn't go back. I wasn't worried about my crap. I wasn't worried about getting it back. I didn't give a shit about none of it. It was just some CDs and a few clothes, so I wasn't really that worried about it. Those when CDs were a thing. Tells you how old I am. But I didn't go back. Now, after all this happened, probably a week or two after this happened. I must say it was like a week or two. Yeah, I was working. I was at work, and he would constantly call me and text me. And that was when we had those little, those little, old little Nokia phones. They, I dropped that thing, I threw that thing, and it was still in one piece. Those little, oh, I can't remember. They're the little Nokias. They're like this big, and they had like the bars that would go up both sides, and that was when singular was a thing. God, that makes me feel old. That makes me feel old. Just to be sitting here talking about singular, okay? Like the singular Go phones. That's what they were. I think that's what they were called. They were the Go phones. So I had one of those, and I always kept it paid for, kept it taken care of. And he would call me. Like he would call me and he would threaten me that he was gonna do this and he was gonna do that if I didn't see him, that that I was his and this and that. And I pretty much told him to off. I was not playing his games, and I warned him that if he showed up to my house, if he showed up to where I lived at that time, that he wouldn't make it out the door because I'd kill him. So we ended up. I remember I got really mad one night while I was at work, and I got really angry because I was just fed up with his crap. I was just fed up with all of it. Um, sorry. I was just fed up with all of it, and I got really upset. And I was cleaning my section of the restaurant at that night, and I had a girl ask me what was wrong. Well, when I explained to her what had happened, she basically told me that her and her boyfriend did the same thing. That they get in fights and arguments like that, and it just it's no big deal. For a minute, I just kind of stood there and looked at her like, someone putting their hands on you is not a big deal. Um, I don't understand that. I didn't understand that. Like, why is it okay for somebody to put their hands on you like that? Why is it okay for somebody to beat on you? I wasn't standing for it. It wasn't going to happen to me. I didn't want it to happen to me. I remember when I went home, I had bruises all over. I had bruises all over my arms. I had a bruise on my leg. I had bruises on my back. I mean, I looked like I was in a car accident. And I was not happy with the way that I felt while, I was covered in bruises. I felt like I just shouldn't have, you know, I felt stupid mainly. I felt stupid. I felt ashamed because I knew then that I was stronger than that I was better than that, and that I deserved better than that. I didn't have anybody tell me that. I figured that crap out on my own. I did what I had to do to get out of that relationship. I did what I did to not have to endure ever being touched like that again. Um, I was not like that. He was just a rebound from the first relationship that I was in because it was a long term relationship. I was with that guy for 6 years. Now that was my first love, the 6 year relationship. Now this guy, Jack, would call him. He's the one that was the rebound. He's the one that put his hands on me. He is the one that made me feel like I felt ashamed. I was ashamed because I knew better. I knew better. I knew that, you know, I didn't think he'd ever put his hands on me, not like that, but I knew that something wasn't right and I felt it. But I ignored it, as most teenagers do. Oh, I learned then that I am so much stronger and so much better than the crap that somebody wants to try to pull. Um, I was not happy with somebody putting their hands on me. And still to this day, I do not allow anybody to put their hands on me. I am, I am not okay with, anybody putting their hands on me. And I have taught my daughter this too. I have taught my daughter that you never let somebody put their hands on you, because that is not how it goes. And I'm even teaching my boys that it is not okay to put your hands on a female. It's not okay for her to put her hands on you either, but most guys are a lot bigger than females. Now, there are some females out there that, I don't think I put my hands on her if I was a guy. But, at the same time, I need to make sure that my daughter learns that, don't ever be in a relationship that you can't get out of. Don't ever be afraid to leave. Yes, you will have to start over. Yes, you will have to rebuild from nothing. Yes, you will have to, do it all over again. Start over, whatever you have to do. But it's still not worth being in a relationship like that. It's not worth it. It's just there's too much better stuff out there. So after we had broke up, after I refused to go back to wherever this freaking house, life, whatever, after I refused to go back, I pretty much, I left. I left the state because, number one, I just didn't want to deal with him no more. And number two, I had kind of moved on to something else that wasn't him. And I wouldn't necessarily call that one a rebound. That kind of, after, let's say it was, 4 months, 3, 4 months, I had finished getting my GED. I had got my GED, and I left the state to go do something different. So I left the state, and that guy would still try to call me. He would still try to freaking threaten me. He would still try to, well, you're mine, and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. You know what? I don't let nobody keep me down. That is for damn sure. That is just not me. I'm just not letting it happen. So I do try to try to teach my daughter that it is never okay for somebody to put their hands on you. It is never okay for, somebody to say they own you, because look here, nobody owns you. Nobody owns you. God owns you. He's the only man that owns you. Nobody else does. You know. So, I'm proud of myself that I was able to get out of that relationship. I'm proud of myself for being strong and for doing what I had to do to calm down the situation so I could get out of it. I'm proud of myself for standing my ground. I didn't just let him run over me. I didn't just let him get away with what he was trying to do. In all honesty, I was trying to be smart about getting away. I was, I was trying to make sure that I could get out of the situation without him touching me again, because I didn't want to be touched. I didn't want to be hit. I didn't want to be, I didn't want his hands on me. I just didn't want to. There was just nothing there. I felt nothing. I wasn't in love with him, and I know for a fact that I wasn't in love with him. There was no love there. It was, like I said, it was a rebound. It was a rebound relationship, and I know most females will know exactly what I'm talking about. You go from a really long-term relationship to trying to date somebody else, and you end up with a, what kind of guy. What is with the honking? I mean, like, really, like, what, like, y'all know what kind of dude I'm talking about, okay? Ladies, y'all know. Even the guys, if you've been in a relationship for a really long time, there's like an in-between girl before your next relationship or whatever. So that's basically what he was. There was really nothing there. I didn't feel anything for him. I didn't love him. I didn't, it was just kind of like it was just a rebound thing. And I know that, there was only one person that that I really loved at that point. And that was even then it was still my ex, because, we went through a lot together. We went through so much together, and he was just a good guy. And as you grow up, growing from 13 to almost 19, you grow apart. Things change. You change. Your perceptive changes. Everything changes, when you're that young. So I would pretty much say that if you are in a relationship where some guy thinks he is above it all and treats you like crap, however you have to do it, leave. However you need to get away from it, leave. Because it's not worth it. It's not worth it. And now to this, and I'm still dealing with the damage from it. My voice, and I'm sure if you watch my other blog about finding my talent, you will see that I even said that even to this day, my throat is still messed up. My voice is still messed up. He was so mad that I could sing better than him. He was so mad that I was better at him than something that he took that away. He damaged my vocal cords. And, you know, I can still sing. I just can't sing as well as I used to. Um, I don't try to sing for people anymore unless it's for me or I'm in my car or something like that. I don't try to sing for people anymore because, quite frankly, I don't like the way it sounds. Other people might, but I don't. Um, but yes, I used to be able to hit the high notes, the low notes, everything in between. And I mean, like I said, I was singing choir. I was singing choir. I would do all that, and I just decided, I stopped. I had to quit. I had to give up everything that I loved because of the vocal damage. So, it sucks because singing was something that was really, really important to me. And I wanted to use that at some point. And it doesn't mean that I might not. I might still try. But, I want anybody who's been in a relationship like that, or just toxic, to just know, you're not the only one that's gone through it. I've gone through it. I'm 35 years old now. I am married. I have 5 babies. I am happy. I have my days where I do get down and I do have severe anxiety, but I don't let it stop me. I'm a more confident person now. Number one, because I know my husband's a big dude and anybody comes near me and yeah, I already know. You know, my husband doesn't play when it comes to me. I'm me and my kids are what's important to him, and I know that he will keep me safe regardless of anything else. I already know he'd strangle somebody over me. So, you know, I want to make sure that especially younger, maybe younger people, maybe younger girls or younger boys or, you know, any relationship, if you are not treated with respect and you are not treated, you know, the way you want to be treated, don't stay in it. It's not worth it. It's not worth your self esteem. It kills your confidence. It kills your self esteem. It kills how you feel inside, feel about yourself. It makes you feel miserable to think that somebody can treat you like that. It really does. It makes you feel like crap because, you know, you work so hard to feel good. As a teenager, as a female, anyways, we all kind of have like our insecurities. And that just makes it worse, is having somebody make us feel bad, having somebody make us feel like crap. So just, don't let somebody bring you down. Stay confident, be positive. You know, just because you're with a dick of a guy, forgive my language, just because you're with a dick of a guy does not mean that you can't find an amazing man out there somewhere. If you look past the pretty boys and you look past the, what would you call them? Jerks, you'll find some pretty decent guys out there. Um, like I said, me and my husband, we have our moments, but he's never put his hands on me. He loves my kids. He's never even thought about trying to harm one of my kids. He does everything he can for me. He works so hard for me and my babies. Um, I mean, he works a lot. He works really hard, and he ensures that we have everything we need. And that was his goal, was to take care of his family. And you know, that's a good goal to have. So I apologize for this vlog being long. As you can see, I didn't get as much of my makeup done as I was planning on. I did get my neutral stuff done. But I still have a few other things to do. I just want to give this story time because I think it's important. I do have a few other stories coming, so instead of like Vlogmas, I might do. I might still do the baking vlogs. I definitely probably still will. I gotta get some stuff though, but I might also do like a week's worth of story time because I have a lot. Okay, I have a lot. You'll be amazed. I am 35 years old and I have seen more in my 35 years than some people see in a lifetime. And I've been through more crap than some people have been in a lifetime. You know, I don't think anybody's life is perfect, but mine for some reason has always been a shitstorm, and it is not fun. You know, I have days now where it's just like, why do I even bother trying to get up? Why do I even bother trying to get out of bed? But I don't let it stop me. I keep on going. That's what she represents. She represents how many times I've rebuilt myself, how many times I've come back, how many times I'll still be here. So I hope you guys enjoyed my story. I hope you learned something, and I hope that you have an amazing day. And take care of each other. Again, if you're in a situation like that, get out. He's never going to love you, or she's never going to love you if they treat you like that. It's not worth it. It's not worth anybody's life. It's not worth, living in hell every day for a relationship. It's just not. So feel free to subscribe. Click that notification bell so you are notified when I upload a new story, which will probably be here in a couple days. I don't know about tomorrow. I've got a lot to do. Um, but I will definitely be back with another story. I have a bunch, 35 years worth actually. Um, so I will see you guys later. Thanks for watching. Bye.